I believe that you can get a great education at any of those top 10 schools, and we really, are very much kind of, aligned with our peers. However, I think what really uniquely sets us apart is this notion of Team Fuqua, and it's the ability to be able to bring out the best strengths in others in order to move an organization or a team towards a common purpose. And so when I think what we are looking for in students are students' ability to not only be able to demonstrate their professional strengths, but also kind of how will they contribute to the community, how will they show up. So it's very important for us to look for those aspects and qualities around leadership and engagement and involvement. How are they able to communicate and interact with their peers such that they are also caring about the strengths that their peers have to bring to bear. We have these standing principles, and one of them is called supportive ambition. It's really about this understanding around your success is my success. So it's really important that our students look beyond just their own personal achievements, but how are they going to be able to ensure that as a team, as a community, the entire community is lifted up and made better for their experience here. We're talking beyond just kind of the tech sector. I would say there are common ways in which both curricularly and co-curricularly people are able to engage. And so from a curricular perspective, the core helps to satisfy kind of your understanding or your deepening from a disciplinary perspective. We have over 11 different concentrations. We have 3 certificates. We have a new second major that we're calling Management Science and Technology Management, which is an additional track for those people interested in business analytics. It's STEM designated. We're one of the only MBA programs that has a STEM designation opportunity attached to its MBA program. And 75% of our international students really take advantage of that. This is it's in its second year, and 75% of the international students have taken advantage of it in the second year. And I think the reason is that not only are you looking at the lens of business analytics on top of this kind of management context, but you also are provided with additional work authorization benefits as well with this particular track. And these for credit at Fuqua, and again, those cut across many different disciplines. One's called the Fuqua Client Consulting Practicum. It allows students in their first year to really work with various types of industry, for-profit, nonprofit, on real projects that are relevant to these industries, to get a sense and a taste and to build up their skill sets across various disciplines. We have a number of different courses as well across each of these disciplines. So we, from a financial services perspective, we have a course called Raising Capital in FinTech. We have our Cam Harvey's one of our professors, very well known. And he has a really popular course on crypto ventures and blockchain. We have from an HR for kind of a diversity and inclusion perspective, we have a new course for women in leadership. It's really gender and leadership course that's taught by Ashley Rosette, who's a leading scholar in the diversity and inclusion space. So, a number of different courses. We have a brand new one called Advanced Corporate Strategies, taught by Ronnie Chatterjee, and it's really about CEO activism. So how do you think about all of these complex issues in politics and social issues around the globe, and your role as a CEO, your role as a leader in an institution, and having to contend with various aspects that are sometimes outside of the scope of a business strategy. And so they take real-world situations. So, for instance, they took the crisis, the India demonetization crisis, and they take a look at that and kind of break it down and understand kind of what were the challenges of leadership. How did they respond to these issues? So there's a lot of different ways in which our students are able to, both from a curricular perspective as well as co-curricular, put to just the things that they're learning inside the classroom, but apply it in a very real way. Or I would say one of the insider secrets that we may not be as well known for is something called Fuqua Talks. And it's really this wonderful event that is 100% organized by students. It happens twice a year. And it's really about self-reflection and understanding difference and appreciating difference and ability to, in a safe space, to share your own story. So it's kind of like a TED Talk, or if you're familiar, a mock kind of session When you take 15 minutes, you share your personal story. It could be about a wide variety of topics that we've had.
Of our students overall, and about 75% of our international students have opted to do the MSTEM second major. And a lot of and the way to think about it is that it is course based, and so if you were taking courses that have more of a technical side, you're likely to earn this. Yes. And so people can do another concentration on top of it, so that somebody could be graduating with MSTEM and a concentration in strategy if they're, for example, interested in consulting. Right. Or in finance if they're interested in going into financial services. So it doesn't preclude you doing other things at Fuqua. Sure. So we've only, as Sherry mentioned, we've only had it for 2 years, and the first class that graduated, we've seen nothing but kind of success. Not everybody who graduated with the MSTEM is necessarily working in a job that would qualify for that extension, but those who are getting the extra time for the OPT. We don't, unfortunately, the school and no schools really have a lot of control over the broader visa process in the United States. We certainly are doing our best as a collective of schools, as an association, to try to get the message out that employers know that somebody that they might be hiring has the ability to stay in the country longer, even if they don't win the visa lottery. I think that they're more likely to hire that person. So I think that it really does give our students an edge. And I can speak particularly to Indian students. I think that most of the Indian students that we see do want to work in the United States after they finish their degree, and they're very, very well aware of the employment situation, and often they have a very, very good understanding of which companies in the United States do sponsor for visas and which do not. Sure. So I think there's kind of a natural match with the industries, consulting, high tech, and to some degree financial services, where students know that their seniors have been successful in finding jobs in these sectors. They have some understanding of the sectors. I will say, and this is not exclusive to Fuqua, that areas like consumer products, CPG, are always going to be very difficult for international students. One of the developments in the finance sector is the growth of fintech. And I think that has served a lot of Indian students very well. Right. So I would say that it isn't that students come here thinking they're going to do a lot of things and they get funneled into these careers, but the students that we see who apply to Fuqua and do a very good job on their application have very deliberate goals as to what they're looking to do. Sure. That said, from an employment standpoint, the Indian students that have come in have been incredibly successful. We saw in 2018 we saw 100% employment. I have friends who graduated from the MBA this year. Udit Anand's going to McKinsey. We have Rushi Agarwal is going to BCG. Sure. Tushar Dasgupta is going to Amazon. So we've got we've always seen a lot of success at a lot of the big marquee companies with our Indian students.
Yeah, I just came back from a recruitment event this past weekend that Deloitte University hosts for all of its employees that they're sponsoring. And one of our alums who graduated in 2018, she was sponsored, and she worked with me throughout the weekend. And she actually, her name's Geets Gupta, and she actually graduated 2018 with the MSTEM certification that I told you about, and was sponsored by Deloitte. And so we even see students in certain positions within consulting also benefiting from these particular additional attributes that we offer. Individuals who are interested in kind of digital business or tech-focused careers from a management perspective, we actually have a number of curricular plus co-curricular offerings that I think really allow us to we take a leadership position. Percent of our graduating students went into the tech sector this past graduating class, so it's actually superseded financial services even in being the second most popular post-MBA industry after consulting club. And they do a really popular high-tech symposium every year. They have kind of 101, 201 sessions to engage people who aren't necessarily familiar with the tech industry and what the industry is all about. They have social events. They have case competitions. There are ways in which we make sure that they're connected with each other, as well as there's a career service sector director who focuses on the tech sector. So from a purely career perspective, that person has alumni connections and they know the employers who are hiring. But again, these are not technical roles in terms of being a data scientist, right? These are business roles in the tech sector. So they cut across marketing, operations, supply chain, finance, you name it. And then we have on our student government level, we have a VP of tech, and that individual is a student-led position, and that individual works with not only their peers and classmates to evolve, but also the administration and leadership on areas that will allow us to, as a school, to become even more informed in this space. Ask that question because I definitely want to dispel that myth. So you are correct in that our early action round is about our expectation that you would accept our offer if given an offer of admission, right? It is usually for people who have done their preparation and research early on, right, ahead of the schedule. They know what they want. They're very much prepared, and they really want. To be honest, they also because they're so prepared and ready, they also are ready to go ahead and submit their application to dispel the myth, right? So we actually do provide scholarships across every single round, including the early action. So just because it's a binding round doesn't mean that you wouldn't be able to qualify for scholarships. And in fact, we get very competitive applicants in our early action round. A lot of applicants from India and China apply in the early action round. Very, very strong applicant pool in the round. And because our scholarships are based on merit, we make sure that there's money available in early action to also provide scholarships. Early action rounds one, the earlier you apply, the more available funds are, right? And so I would also say to the applicant, hey, you want to get a sense for your professional experiences and background, right? So it's absolutely very important to us. Despite the fact that our two long essays aren't necessarily focused on that, there are a lot of different ways in which we try and assess professional impact, right? So we have your resume, which can in some circumstances be viewed as a longer essay, right? Because you're looking at professional achievement, past professional achievement, current professional achievement. You're looking at leadership engagement. You're looking at impact, right, over a period of time. So we get a lot out of that. We get a lot out of the letters of recommendation as well, and the interview itself. All of that, a lot of that is focused on, if not primarily focused on your professional achievements. I do think that there are a number of places throughout this entire application process where we're really focused on, what kind of impact have you had from a professional perspective, in addition to the personal perspective. But because we have a number of different ways of getting at that, for us, what's really important because of how unique our culture is, we really want to understand you as an individual. What are the personal elements that you bring to bear, especially when you think about, many applicants, especially in India, have very similar professional profiles, right? And so what's going to allow that student to really stand out will be that personal aspect of what they're bringing to bear, their distance travel, how they've engaged or what kind of leadership opportunities they've been able to engage in outside of the work environment, right? What are they passionate about? What are they skilled at beyond the professional skill sets? And that's really where you're able to differentiate yourself as an individual. And that also is very much in line with us being able to understand what kind of person will show up and be a part of our community, and will that person have impact in our community. But that aside, we actually have kind of changed some of our questions. So in this new iteration of the application, it'll go live probably towards the end of July, beginning of August. But we have switched up a couple of our shorter term, short answer questions. So we still have the two primary long answers, like 25 random facts, as well as a contribution question. But from a short answer perspective, we do have two consolidated from 3 short answers to 2. And both of those short answers are actually focused, interestingly, on kind of the value of an MBA. How do you see that impacting? And why now? Right? Why is getting your MBA important to you at this point in your life? Is one question. And then the second one is kind of based on that. What are your post-MBA career goals, and what's that alternative plan, right? Because you always need to be thinking about that. And both of those are just 100 words, right? So it's interesting that we do still want to understand your motivation and rationale, but what's more important, but there's so many places we can get that, right? That it's really important for us from a longer essay perspective to dig into who you are and what contribution you'll make as an individual person, as a unique person, because difference is so important to our community and our ability to understand you. So I'll tackle the first one in terms of the types of financial supports. I would say that two forms of financial support. So one is in the form of loans, both cosigner and non-cosigner loans we offer. We work with a number of different institutions that provide specific loan options to our international students. And actually, for folks who qualify for non-cosigner loans, we have a very competitive process in that we would cover up to 90% of the cost of attendance for our international students who qualify for non-cosigner loans. And all that information is on our website. And then in addition to that, we also have a listing of individual types of lending institutions across the globe, depending on the country that you're in. And we give that to students, or make that available to students on our website so that they can peruse at their leisure to see if they would qualify for those as well. But we do have specific relationships with at least 2 or 3 different international lending agencies with competitive terms. And then in terms of our scholarship, though, all students who apply, or all applicants, are automatically considered for scholarship. So there's no separate process. And you would find out whether or not you got a scholarship when you actually find out if you got admitted. So it would be in your offer letter, your admissions offer letter, the amount of the scholarship. They are 2-year scholarships. And I would say in terms of what people can do to help increase their chances, first of all, you should know that, we look at the same admissions criteria that we would look at to admit you, is the same criteria we look at to determine merit-based scholarships. And we only have merit-based scholarships. And so, first and foremost, someone really putting forward their absolute best application really helps them. And then aside from that, it really is also about the applicant pool, your strengths and achievements compared to others. And that's where I think perhaps we would focus, of course we focus on the test scores, right? But really more so it's the leadership and engagement. And I also think that ties into the previous question, in that that's another reason why it's so important for applicants to really be able to articulate clearly their leadership, their involvement, their passions, what they're good at, what they would contribute to the community, any unique accomplishments that they've had, be it professional or personal, right? We look at all of those to try and make a determination in a very strong pool